My name's Maddie. I'm from Atlanta, Georgia. I currently live on Anastasia Island, right on the intercoastal. I've lived here 3.5, going on 4 years now. I guess being a small town, it's not like, I don't know, you don't have all of like the resources and things that bigger cities would have. Normally, most floodings occur during hurricane season, but the last one that happened, actually, we got like a foot of water in the back, and it was just from a king's tide. So that's when there's a full moon and a high tide at the same time, and that's when we got the really bad flooding on this last time. I'd say the most common would be during the hurricanes. So when we had Hurricane Dorian is when we had the worst flooding. I mean, we had to get all of our walls taken out in the back, but it's never come into the front part of our house. But the first one we'd had was from the king's tide, and that was the last one. But the damage wasn't near as bad. With like the whole last king's tide that we had, like the weather was fine, it wasn't raining, like everything was like fine. It was just the water kept coming up and it's like seeping up through the floorboards rather than coming in through the door. So it's like a foundational issue as well with how low our house sits. A couple of our neighbors have actually had to get their houses raised in order to keep the water from coming inside. So they had to lift their houses, which is something we've thought about doing before. We're between that and a floodgate. Altogether in cost for how much we've like spent, it'd be like $20,000 between the both of them, and then we spend $2,800 on flood insurance every year. When it does flood, we obviously keep an eye out all the time for high tides, things like that. We also keep sandbags lined up against the back wall because it only comes in our back door. And then we have sandbags lined up against the side of the house, and that keeps the water from seeping underneath like the foundation and coming up through the floorboards. So far, we think the floodgate is probably the most cost efficient. And when we do that, we'll have to they build a barrier underneath the ground, and then they lift it up about 3 feet, and that would go around the perimeter of the property. St. Augustine, they built across from us a park that was supposed to help with the irrigation and create blockages. I know there are 7 entry points on our side of the intercoastal to where they're trying to build up dirt and block the water from coming in, because when it comes in, it's flows like a river right across the street from us. We also have had an irrigation problem in St. Augustine for the past probably years upon years, where it's coming up through the drainage. That they have people out all the time trying to work on it and fix it, but so far we haven't had any effective solutions to that. I think a good start with what they've already been doing is starting to block off those 7 entry points with the water, but I think there's still a long way that needs to come with that. I think the park was a good solution, but I guess there hasn't been a flood since they've done that, so I'll be curious how that helps in preventing the flooding. I think it's important because it disrupts daily life for people. It's you can't drive down your road, you're having to walk, people are wearing, waders, things like that. It's disrupting life. It's also a matter of money. It's a lot of houses around here are up for sale, and you see it everywhere, the for sale signs, and it's going to keep people from wanting to move here. So I think it's really important to get the flooding fixed and under control, because it's been a problem for a really long time now.